I ain't finna say no name. Better stay up in your lane. I've been signing all these niggas, they don't want it. Man, these niggas never ballin'. Broke boy facts, but my money always calling. Finna call back. On my back, they put a target. What you call that? I just been a better artist. They won't talk back. Real chat. I've been doing what I want. With no problem from the jump. It don't matter what I'm dropping. All these niggas finna bump. They be fighting over crumbs. I can never be with them. Add up all they fucking totals and you still won't get my sum. And these niggas sleeping on me, so I call them siesta. Shorty want it all, but I just had to next up. Said she had a friend and they want a trifecta. She be going hard like a fucking I say yo bitch up.
Yo, yo, yo.
She want to skirt off in back of the Tesla. Way too fast, I've been missing every rest stop. If we got a problem, sending niggas at your head top. We ain't in the
All right, finally. finally, we're live. Turn this light on here. Woo. There we go. Let's get this. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome. Seems like there's always some kind of issue on these Tuesdays. I'm going to have to start getting these kinks worked out way before. So apparently the RTS Discord, that bot on the Discord, didn't like me comparing Kirk Cousins to Spencer Rattler, because literally without any curse word, any profanity or anything, that's literally all I did. And it wouldn't let me. I tried to post it once. It gave me a warning, which I thought it was a joke. So I tried to post it again, and it banned me. Aaron, can you post it again? The link, I don't see the link. I don't see the link for the disc. Can you post it again in the chat right here, please? And I was trying to send Chris a message, but it wouldn't even let me send a message to him, like, privately. So here we are. Man. All right, guys, let's dive right into things. If somebody in here doesn't mind sharing the link to the channel, to the Discord, I'd really appreciate that, since I cannot access Discord. So yeah, apparently that bot is a South Carolina Gamecocks fan and a Minnesota Vikings fan. Because it did not like to hear what I had to say about Kirk Cousins or Spencer Rattler. Imagine that. Go figure, right? All right, this is episode number 9 of the Fantasy Cure, brought to you by Real-Time Fantasy Sports and Draft Hero, guys. The best fantasy tool in the industry and the best fantasy football website on the planet, of course. We are battling it out, folks, over there in these leagues so far this year. Man, I put up a huge score in the Invitational, guys, and took a L. Band of Brothers came back at the end there and got me. A.J. Brown didn't have a very big night, and Jalen Hurts did. But again, I'm not really concerned about win-loss. The points are really good for my team so far. So there's that. It did kind of suck scoring that high. I think I had the second highest scoring total in that in our individual 12-team league, but I still lost. I just went up against a heater. Band of Brothers team was, man. I mean, it was fun. That was a fun matchup. We were kind of going back and forth all day. Yeah. Can somebody drop me that Discord link again, and I'll try to join. It's such bullshit. I mean, literally, somebody's got to get control of that robot, all right? First of all, that's the first thing. All right, who is this critic? I got to know. Malins, is that you? Aaron, I don't see it if you're sending it in the chat, buddy. I don't see it if you're sending it in chat. It must not be posted. I think you can share links in the chat. Oh man, yes, the Gabriel Davis late news. Does anybody else see the link that Aaron dropped? Because I don't see it. I don't see it in the chat. What's up, Smash? All right, but another crazy week. Another really crazy week of fantasy football, you guys. Some players, some players that we needed to. Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to stand up to the robots, all right? Or those robots will just take us over. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna tell you that robot's a jerk, a true jerk already. All right, so getting right into all the things we need to talk about. Um, First things first, let's go ahead and we'll talk about some waiver wire stuff. Um, and then we can we'll talk about some player performance stuff. If you guys want to drop some of your thoughts in the chat about players that you'd like to discuss, as far as what the hell is going on with this player, um, of some people that we took in the first 5 rounds, etc., etc. All right. So one thing is, in my opinion, one of the bigger waiver wire pickups for me, and I have him already have him rostered on a pretty good bit of teams. I actually am frustrated at myself because I did drop him. I think on 2 teams last week because I really didn't have a choice. Um, the whole George Kittle thing really screwed me with him being out again. So I really didn't want to. I had to have somebody to start at tight end. Because most of the time, if I did draft him, I didn't draft a second tight end, which he hasn't even played. So, anyways, getting back to that, Darrell Williams, to me is I he is available. Um, and from what you saw after the James Conner injury, is yes, Benjamin did get touches, but Darrell Williams got touches as well, and he did very well with them. As I figured he would. Um, Darrell Williams is honestly he's just a good all around running back. He did the same thing in Kansas City. I mean, he came in and in garbage time sometimes, and then with CEH was hurt, banged up a lot the last couple of years. So he's got plenty of opportunities, and usually he does a pretty decent job. So I know they said the James Conner injury isn't, it's not severe or whatever. They're not even sure if he's gonna miss much time, if any. It seems like they say that all the time, and then the player ends up missing a week or two. So they kind of give a mixed message there as far as, oh, it's not that. Well, I guess it's really not that bad of an injury if they miss a couple weeks, but it is for us fantasy purposes because you have to figure out what you're doing as far as backups. Exactly, critic. Yes. So, critic, is that you, Malins? Like, just tell us if it is. Yes, and that's another good point. Darrell Williams will definitely he'll definitely get the goal line work, and he has good hands too. So don't be fooled. Like I know Benjamin's definitely more of a scat back too, but I'm telling you Williams has really good hands too. Like he can catch the ball just as well. All right, Hulk says who's been in 921, and that's another thing. Holy cow, um, that's crazy. All right, another guy I want to talk about at the running back position that folks should be picking up or at least looking into is and he's on a lot of waivers as well. Is how fast will that Chargers situation go to crap if something happens to Eckler? And Eckler hasn't really proven to be the most durable running back over the years. They seem to have tempered his usage back a little bit, which I think will help. But if something did, I mean, Joshua Kelly has looked decent with his opportunities, which have been very limited. I mean, he got 5 or 6 touches last game. But I think Joshua Kelly is definitely a hold and stash type of player. I've seen Sony Michel through a couple of games, and Sony Michel is pretty much like a one trick pony, and to me, he's just not that great. I know he did a decent job last year. I think he had like 800 yards or something, but he's just never stuck as like the guy. So Joshua Kelly is someone that I would definitely be trying to roster as well. Um, Mark Ingram's on a lot of waivers as well, or a few waivers here and there. As I see, I'm looking at one right now that he's available in. He actually got the start. Didn't do too much with it. That whole offense just played poorly this week. The Buccaneers kind of dominated, but he still averaged 6 yards per carry. Ingram did. So another one there. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to look to see if there's any more that are not so much flyer esque. Avery Williams, I know a lot of people put in cheap bits for him last week, and I grabbed him on a couple leagues. The usage just wasn't there. Looks like Algier is actually going to benefit from that more than he did. Tony Jones Jr., of course, didn't really do crap either, so I'm not really sure unless there's more injuries that would get him involved as well. If the Raiders were smart and actually can win a game this season, they might want to start involving Amir Abdullah a little bit more into their offense as well. So, critic sounds like Deej. Oh boy, Deej, is that you? All right. So as far as running backs, I mean that's about it, guys. There's not. Let me look at another league here. Let me pull up another league just to. They're usually pretty similar all the way around, but I do want to do justice here. Kenyon Drake, I mean, he's on, but he's played so poorly, so poorly. Um, yeah, you really don't want anybody on at running back other than Dobbins and those guys. That's pretty much going to be it. There's still a couple of players like Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack's he's getting activated to the 53. Davis Price went down with a high ankle sprain, so he's probably going to be out a few weeks. So Marlon Mack and Jordan Mason will be the backups to Jeff Wilson. There's another one, Mason, if you want to look into him as well. Should be able to get Marlon Mack and or Mason for pretty cheap. Those are good flyers because Jeff Wilson definitely is not proven that he can stay healthy either. So there's another situation there to monitor. Although I do expect him to get the blunt of the work as long as he is healthy. So that's, I mean, looking at running back, there's really not much there. That's kind of where I'm at as far as running backs go. Now flipping over to the wide receivers, I mean, we gotta start giving this Noah Brown some cred, right? I mean, he caught all of his targets, 91 yards and a touchdown. It's 2 weeks in a row where he's had 5 or more targets. Now, the first week he had a little more. He had 9 targets versus 5. But they weren't playing from behind as much this game versus Cincinnati, so the game flow just kind of panned in the way he liked it. But I mean, Cooper Rush seems to like him, and that's 2. Hold on, guys. I'll catch up on the chat here in a minute. Ray's going to get the hammer. Oh man. All right, so Noah Brown. I mean, I think Noah Brown's definitely worth a shot. Through 2 weeks, he's definitely proven to be the number 2 wide receiver in the offense, usage and production wise. Of course, CeeDee Lamb still should be the target hog. And then Schultz, I think Schultz got hurt too, so I'm not sure if he's going to be out a couple of games or what's going to go down with that. Gallup should be coming back soon, but I'm not sure if he's going to be thrown back in there. Does this guy disappear completely, or does that help the situation as well? I really don't know the answer to that, but um, honestly thought Gallup would have been back already. So maybe Gallup's out another week or two. I'm really not sure. We'll have to keep looking at that, but yeah, I mean we'll have to monitor that situation for sure. Let's see, the Greg Dortch, the guy for the Cardinals, wide receiver, second year wide receiver out of Wake Forest. Yeah, I mean let's not pretend like Michael Gallup's never injured either. I mean hell, he'll come back and play 2 games and be out the rest of the season. So I mean it's the same thing with him every year too. He's always banged up with something. All right, so Greg Dortch, you got a couple of weeks. Not exactly killer targets. He had 4 targets this week, 9 targets week 1. But he caught all of his targets, 55 yards and a TD. Again, these are guys I'm not going to bet very much money on. But look, if you're in a situation, I mean they're playing the Rams. There should be scoring going on in that game. Arizona's defense has been pretty bad the first few games, or first couple of games. So I don't. I definitely could see a lot of scoring needed to be done to keep pace. In this Cardinals Rams game, divisional game, they're playing at home. So, if you're in need of points, I mean, it might not be a bad idea to bet a few bucks on some of these guys. Um, Nelson Aguilar out of nowhere, 6 targets, 110 yards and a touchdown. I don't know what to think about that situation. I mean, it's Jacoby Myers. You still got Devontae Parker. Um, I'm probably not spending very much money, if any, on Aguilar. I don't like that whole offense in general. But again, to each their own. DeAndre Carter continues to have some work in that offense. Is Keenan Allen going to play again this week? If not, does that give him more opportunities? Well, it should. Let's see. Zacchaeus for the Falcons. I really think if that guy were on another team, man, an explosive team, he'd be dangerous. I feel like he can do a lot of things, but the usage is just not there. Let's see. Trying to go through some more here, guys. The Bears don't throw enough for the other St. Brown. Richie James through 2 games has gotten 6 targets in both games. Pretty decent production. He's had 5 catches in both games. Both games he's had over 50 yards. I don't know what the hell they're doing. So again, I don't know what that offense is doing. Kadarius Toney has kind of disappeared. Kenny Galladay, I'm just going to put it out there, completely sucks in that offense. They wasted $70 million on him, so there's that. But I don't know. Maybe Richie James is going to be the consistent guy. I mean, I know it's not a lot of points, but hell, getting 10 or 11 points out of some of these guys is better than what some of your starters did this week. So, and if you got injuries coming up and things like that, or bye weeks here coming up soon, and a couple more weeks, then I don't know. He might be someone to look into. Consistent targets through 2 weeks. I mean, we'll see if that continues to be the trend. Let's see. There's really not much going on. Not much going on with the wide receiver situation. Um, I mean, you can take some flyers on a few other guys out there. If you want. I mean, Justin Watson during preseason showed a lot of hope and a lot of what seemed like good rapport with Mahomes. I mean, he could be a throw in the dark here and there. He did catch a touchdown and got some points, but again, the usage just isn't there. His usage rate's not very high. But again, I'm just trying to throw some darts there for you guys, just in case. I'm sure you guys already know on those couple that we just talked about. But for the most part, there's really not much else to discuss as far as wide receivers there that I'm seeing on the waiver wire. Tight ends, Conklin is definitely definitely worthy of picking up in the Jets offense. I mean, he's had 7 targets week 1, 9 targets week 2, and his yardage isn't the greatest, but 6 catches for 40 yards. I mean, he ended up with 10 points. Not terrible for a tight end if you need something to streamline there. If you have George Kittle or some other one that's banged up all the time like Schultz, I'm not sure if he's gonna play. Um, it's a good tight end to look at. The usage for Hayden Hurst is there. He hasn't really turned it into the greatest production, but the usage is there. He's had 15 targets through 2 games. 5 catches in both games. The yardage is pretty terrible. Hasn't caught a touchdown, but I mean, if he catches a touchdown with those same numbers, it'd be decent for picking up someone off the wire. Um, Gasecki, he got a little work. 4 receptions, 41 yards, and a tutty. Might be worth a shot there with Gasecki. I mean, I know they're saying that they're not using him as much for the passing game, but I mean, he did have 4 receptions, so he got a little something going there. And at quarterback, yeah, quarterback situation's pretty tough right now. I've been saying it for a while, and I'll say it again, and it finally came to fruition this week. Jared Goff had another big week. So if you're a Trey Lance guy that has no backup, I mean, the Lions are going to throw the ball a bunch every single game. So he had 4 touchdowns this week, 34 passing attempts, 256 yards. Schedule is not terrible. They'll have to pay some Minnesota. I expect Minnesota to definitely be scoring a lot more points this week. So I think it's fair to put him in the mix. Trevor Lawrence has played a decent couple of games. Production wise, it's been a little underwhelming because of the touchdowns. He did throw 2 touchdowns this week, but I think Trevor Lawrence could be a solid pickup. I think he's going to keep improving as the year goes on. Man, Jameis looked horrid. I don't know what the hell that was about. That's kind of what you're going to get from Jameis, though. He said, "Keep dreaming." Yeah, I mean, Jimmy G could be a decent pickup. We'll see. If you're not going to get much more than the 20 points a game. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know if Jimmy G's a good pickup or not. He wouldn't be my favorite pickup. Let's put it like that. But yeah, I mean, you have Trevor Lawrence on a lot of waivers. Jared Goff's there. Flacco played out of his mind, but Zach Wilson should be returning sometime soon. Um, Daniel Jones has looked atrocious, even though they're somehow 2-0. Baker Mayfield's looked pretty bad too, so I'm not sure what the deal. All right, so guys, I think we've hit enough on waiver wire stuff. You guys and gals are all pretty versed in that area too. So, all right, let me get to some of the stuff in the chat. Let's see what are we talking about here. All right, what is going on with the play call in Denver? Terrible. I agree, Lee. For what it's worth, I hope that continues for one more week. As the 49ers do travel to Denver this Sunday night for Sunday Night Football. So I'm hoping at least for one more game that play calling is pretty horrid. It just looks like Hackett's he's having an identity issue. I really feel like he's kind of like overthinking it a little bit. We'll see if they can smooth some of that out. I mean, they really didn't play their starters during the preseason or anything, which is probably smart. You don't want to get anybody banged up, but it kind of stinks these first couple of games. They're still trying to work a lot of the kinks out. What's weird too is like they've had a lot of penalties. It seems like they're having issues just getting lined up right. They're having issues, getting the ball off. It seems like everything is rushed for them just to get the playoff. A lot of times, so maybe with more repetition through the games, they kind of smooth some of that stuff out. But um, definitely some bonehead play calling in that situation. They're not. I don't want to say they're predictable because I don't feel like they're predictable at all. And Russell Wilson can easily go off script. It's just a weird mix of play calls. Like I totally agree with that sentiment. Um, so who was your guy's number one? Like, what the hell is going on with that player this week? Give me some feedback here in the chat. What was your number one? Like, wow, what is going on with this player this week? All right, as we saw, and then we'll talk about a few guys that kind of got back on track. One being Allen Robinson. Um, he still didn't have like a ton of targets, but he had enough targets to kind of get you through and had decent numbers. Um, what do you have? 5 targets, 4 catches, 53 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, look, you'll take it. You'll take it, right? Yes, Darnell Mooney. What the hell? All right, Darnell Mooney's definitely one we need to discuss. My God, man, it's hard. It's really hard to. All right, we really can't. Here's the thing with Mooney: we can't hold Week 1 against him. Really in any facet. That Week 1 they played in a monsoon. Okay, the 49ers game was just it was bad. They had 2 blown coverage plays for big touchdowns. One was with Dante Pettis, and I can't remember, or Saint Brown scored the other one. But yeah, this last game, it's like once again, um, the usage just wasn't there. He had 3 targets week 2, 1 catch for 8 yards. I'm sorry, he had 2 targets and he had 1 catch for -4 yards. I was looking at his week 1 stats. His week 2 stats, he scored 1 fantasy point. So the targets just haven't been there. Now those are 2 pretty insane defenses that they just went against. Like the Niners defense is really good. They have a pretty good secondary actually this season, and the same can go for the Packers. I don't know if Alexander was on him for the most part of the game or what the issue was, but it seems like they basically just the game plan was to take Mooney out completely. 2 targets though. I mean, come on, you got to be at least looking for the guy at some point during the game. Again, you talk about weird play calling. I don't know what the hell the Bears' offense is. Um, Eberflus seems to be a lot more conservative than Nagy was. Maybe that's not a bad thing, but as far as like trying to get the team to play better, but it's definitely not good for Darnell Mooney's benefit. It's this. I mean, this game right here versus Houston Week 3 will tell the tale for Mooney, in my opinion. Because there shouldn't be. I know they took Stingley from LSU, the rookie cornerback. But there really shouldn't be a DB that's just like, oh my God, or overwhelming defense in general with Houston, to where Mooney shouldn't get enough targets and production. If Mooney doesn't produce this week versus Houston, then we gotta start waving that red flag because something major is wrong there. And you're just gonna have to pick and choose your battles with that situation. Obviously, you're not gonna drop him, but at the same time, hell, you don't want to start him either because he's been atrocious. Yes, agreed. Smash. Both running backs do look good. Herbert and Montgomery both have looked pretty damn good. Let's give Mooney the benefit of the doubt for one more week versus Houston. Let's see if anything changes with that situation. But I'm right there with you guys. I don't own him a ton, but there are a couple of teams where like, damn, if I could get 15 points from him, like I probably would have got a win this week. Um, and he just really has killed you the first 2 weeks if you played him. So again, I'm gonna chalk it up. Number one, it was terrible weather that first game. Number two, the Green Bay was a tough matchup. Another really good defense. So with a weaker opponent, weaker defense, let's see if maybe they test out things. Maybe let Fields throw the ball a little more this week. We'll kind of see what happens. But regardless, I mean, he's the staple, easily the number one should be the number one wide receiver on the team. It's the best wide receiver they have. I mean, the same thing can be said for Cole Kmet. I mean, he's underwhelmed as well. Just the offense in general. Let's see what happens with Houston. I think we can get a better idea of kind of how or what the Chicago offense wants to be or what they're trying to do. Because I mean, those are two pretty brutal matchups for a young team like them, and they're not overly whelming with talent or anything like that. Well, it's easy to say that now, critic in hindsight. So yeah, I mean, we can sit here in hindsight and and we can say that for sure. Yeah, Montgomery with 15 points wasn't too bad. Agreed. And Herbert's just looked really good too. All right, we've talked about Darnell Mooney. Who's another player we need to hit on, guys? Give me some more players. Who are we talking about? Like, what the hell do we need to do? Um, let's see. What about the Indianapolis Colts in general? Man, you talk about a team. Here's another one that I will say is has borderline or underwhelmed for what people thought he was gonna be. Through 2 games, Elijah Moore is not exactly one year gave you a win for your fantasy football league each week. Um, his usage has been okay. I'm not crazy about the 5 targets. And then Garrett Wilson like really blew up this last game. Elijah Moore could be in trouble, guys. I really don't know what to think about that situation. Now I know this is with Joe Flacco. Is Wilson going to have that same chemistry with Garrett Wilson when he comes back? If he doesn't, he should probably go back to the bench because he sucks. If he doesn't realize how great that kid is, oh my God. Like Garrett Wilson looked phenomenal. But Elijah Moore lovers could be in some deep shit. No joke. 7 targets the first game, 5 for 49. The second game, he had less targets, five targets, 3 receptions for 41 yards, 1 rushing attempt for -6. Um, yeah. What are we thinking on Elijah Moore, guys? Are you kind of feeling what I'm feeling here, or what are you guys thinking? He got a ton of targets or he obviously got a lot more targets last season. But they have more weapons this year. Even Corey Davis has played decent, but Elijah Moore definitely worries me at this point through 2 games. I think some people are expecting a lot more from him. Again, it's only 2 weeks. That's why we're talking about these things on Overreaction Tuesday. But Elijah Moore is definitely one that's got me scratching the old noggin. I'm kind of conflicted here on usage, and all those things. So Hulk says, well, I mean Flacco likes more too. I think I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. He definitely favored Garrett Wilson a lot more this weekend. Man, Garrett Wilson absolutely he freaking tore it up, man. 14 targets, 8 receptions, 102 yards, and 2 tutties. Man. All right, so I guess we're all kind of having the same feeling on Elijah Moore. All right, does anybody know? I'm seeing mixed messages. It looks like Pittman should be good to go this week. Preston, that's a good point. Preston says Flacco knows who his best wide receiver is. I'm not going to negate that. I'm actually going to, as crazy as it sounds, I'm probably going to have to agree with you there. Garrett Wilson just looks the part, man. Good grief. The kid looked amazing. Absolutely amazing. I don't know, guys. I'm a little worried about the Elijah Moore thing. We'll have to keep monitoring from week to week to see if that situation gets any better. And when Zach Wilson gets back, does the target share change? Something to think about. I did not have Elijah Moore in my lineups this week. I had him on the bench, so thank goodness for that. All right, let's see what else we have here. Nico Collins kind of came back to life a little bit. 9 targets, 4 receptions for 58 yards. I just want to see Nico take that next step. Like, we want to get up in the 6 to 7 receptions per game. We want to get that yardage up to the 70s or 80s, throwing a touchdown every, I don't know, 2 or 3 games to see him take that next step in that offense. But it was nice to see him get 9 targets. That's the kind of usage you want to see. So definitely good as far as that goes. We'll see if that trend continues for Nico. Oh yeah, I mean they're starting Zach for sure when he returns. That's why I was saying we'll have to see what the target share is once Zach Wilson comes back. All right, who else are we talking about here, guys? Who else are we talking about? You know someone I want to talk about? Well, let's talk about Curtis Samuel. Holy moly. Man. Curtis Samuel, guys. Holy crap. 11 targets, 8 for 55 and a touchdown week 1. 9 targets, 7 for 78 and a touchdown week 2. He's had rushing attempts in both games. 4 rushing attempts in week 1. 1 rushing attempt in week 2. So, Curtis Samuel, right? Like, holy shnikes. All right. Big Smirk says he's curious about this Kenny Pickett Trubisky situation. Fans are calling out for him, and I get it, but they are not calling for a new offensive coordinator or new running back. Harris has been awful. Well, to be honest with you, I'm not sure anybody behind that O-line is going to be very good, and especially with your offense being as stagnant as Pittsburgh has been. They're not able to move the ball consistently, which is not. It's going to make it even harder to run the ball. They're gonna have to. They're really gonna have to make a decision and open some things up. Whether it's Trubisky or Pickett, I mean, either way, whoever you're going with, you're gonna have to open up the offense because what they're doing is not working. It's looked really bad. Poor offensive linemen. And they're just not able to move the ball consistently. Everything's predicated on being able to to push the chains. They're not getting many first downs. The offense in general just never looks in sync. Like even Deontay, when he's getting catches and stuff, it's not. It doesn't look like it normally does, and it's to me it was something that's weird. It feels like every catch thrown to Deontay is like outside the hashes, like right at the sidelines, which is just completely dumb to me. So they definitely have some things to figure out in Pittsburgh, man. The O line's atrocious, but they've got to start throwing the ball down the field. I mean, you have Claypool and you have Pickens. Like they got to start pushing the ball down the field some. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean that's kind of a skewed stat though, Smirk. I mean, if you have three defenders in front of you, it really doesn't matter if you're breaking a tackle or not. I mean, if you watch when there's nothing there. I mean, there's just nothing there. I don't give a damn who you put back there. I really don't think it's any of Najee's fault at all. I just don't think any defense playing them is really respecting the passing game. They're able to kind of just key in on the running backs. Um, so I don't know. They've got to start moving the ball more consistently, man. Yeah, they've got to start pushing the ball down the field and taking some shots though. Here, let's look at Trubisky's stat line. Let's see if the numbers tell us anything. So he's 21 of 33 for 168 yards, one touchdown, and one interception. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not. I mean, those many attempts for that much yardage is not. I mean, they're not taking enough attempts down the field. They're just really not. And I can't. I mean, you're right. I agree. We're gonna have to go back to the offensive coordinator on that situation, but I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why you have Claypool and why you have Pickens and even Fryermuth can stretch the field. I mean, he can catch some balls down the middle pretty deep too. So I'm not sure why everything's super compacted. I mean, it tells me they don't trust the quarterback situation, which drives me freaking crazy. Why is he your quarterback? And the same thing with Pickett. If they put him in, I don't think it's like they're going to air raid or anything. It's going to be the same thing. They're going to be super conservative. So I don't know. That whole situation is very frustrating. I don't think anyone here really had a bunch of Najee. I mean, listen, I think Najee's going to have some decent games. It's going to come against weaker opponents. I mean, the Patriots and the Bengals both have okay defenses. They both have decent D lines. But yeah, it doesn't really seem to me like they're doesn't seem like they are trusting the QB situation. It's just so frustrating to me though. Like if he's your guy, if he's your guy and you went with him, then give him the opportunity to either be the guy or fail. Like don't hold his hand along the way. That's what drives me crazy. Don't be conservative. Play your offense. Open it up. Dial up play action. Do some things differently. Get him outside the pocket. Let him throw the ball. So there it is. I think we can all agree on that situation. Baker Mayfield is another bad quarterback on another bad team that will limit his upside. CMC isn't doing anything. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of first round running backs that aren't doing shit. Um there's quite a few actually. I mean, look at Dalvin Cook for instance, 13 points, 7 points. It's not what you want to see. Christian McCaffrey, he's making it work. Still making it work. 15 points, 15.7 and 16.8. McCaffrey's keeping it borderline at least. Like he's still it's still like, damn, you're expecting 30-point games from him, 25-point games from him every week, but that's just not what he's going to get you anymore. Obviously, I mean, from looking at the first 2 weeks, their offense in general just doesn't. They're just not the same offense like that anymore. His usage is still great though, and that's as long as that's still the case, that's really all that matters. But for where he was drafted, I mean, you're definitely expecting a lot better production than what he's been giving you. I still think it's a little early to rule out McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey's definitely going to have some big games. Um, so there's that. I mean, Derrick Henry is another one. Like the Titans just looked really bad. He's gotten you 8 points both games, and that was 8 points with a touchdown last night. That team just looked very bad. I mean, I get it. The Bills are probably going to make a lot of teams look really bad this year. So, um, but yeah, the Titans are looking really rough right now. There's just so many players though that you could talk about who have underwhelmed. And just look at the board here. Um, I mean, Jonathan Taylor, he had a pretty rough week too. So I mean, he only touched the ball 10 times, 54 yards on 9 carries. He only had one reception. So that's your number one overall pick in fantasy football. We talked about Najee, Henry. Um, Joe Mixon's usage is so crazy. He still kind of held on for a little something, but 11 points. He didn't have a great game either. We talked about Dalvin Cook in that situation. Devontae Adams, 7 targets, two receptions for 12 yards and a touchdown. I'm telling you guys, there's just there are a lot of overwhelming, a lot of players that were drafted early that have really been underwhelming. If you got Stephon Diggs, you're sitting pretty good so far through 2 weeks. So he's absolutely killed it. Even Kelsey and the Chiefs offense really had a down week as far as production. Kelsey was down. If you played Juju this week, he pretty much killed you too. Um, boy, it was damn good to see Mike Williams get going. Man, Mike Williams looked really good, didn't he? I hope that trend continues, man, because I've got a ton of Mike Williams. Amon St. Brown looks absolutely phenomenal. How do you not root for Amon St. Brown? Like, how do you not root for that kid? The guy's super humble, doesn't talk crap, plays hard, works hard. I mean, the dude's just a baller, man. He's a beast. Anybody? What are we thinking on Michael Pittman? Do we think Michael Pittman plays this week? What about Keenan Allen? Do we think Keenan Allen's going to play this week? I mean, they were kind of saying because the Chargers were on a short week is why Keenan didn't play last week. So I'm expecting him to play this week, but I haven't seen anything updated. Pittman, do we think Pittman's coming back this week? Yeah, I mean, I think everyone should have known that Cortland Sutton was going to be, um, that he was definitely going to be Russell Wilson's his wide receiver to target. I mean, 18 targets through 2 games. It's hard to negate that. Cortland Sutton's just he's I think he's gonna be really good. All right, Hulk says Chase is having a rough sophomore year. Yeah, I mean, I think the Bengals in general, I think the Bengals in general are just having a rough year. Their O line has played very poorly. Um, I I don't know. They're really gonna have to start scheming up some things better. It's crazy. Yeah, I wasn't really on Cortland Sutton until after Tim Patrick did go down. but Cortland Sutton has played pretty well. Yeah, I was. I don't think I drafted Jerry Judy once. I just never was. I never was a Jerry Judy person. I still don't think he's very good, or he's going to be very good on that team. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he has another 20 plus point game this week. Who knows? Yeah, Jamar Chase is super safe, but I mean, just because of the usage alone that he's going to get every single game, I'd be more concerned with. Honestly, I'd be more concerned with T Higgins versus Jamar Chase. And T had a pretty good game though. He had 10 targets, 6 for 71, and a touchdown. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't think I am. I think I'd be more concerned with T Higgins than I am with Jamar Chase. But Cooper effing Rush, right? Cowboys showed a little heart. Interesting. I'll tell you another player that's been underwhelming for me, guys. Um, and I was kind of drafting him. I've got him on quite a few. I wouldn't say quite a few teams. I've got him on about, I would say, less than 15% of my teams, but I've got him on some teams where I really need running back to. I really need him to do well. Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds hasn't looked great through 2 games. He only touched the ball 6 times this past week, which is weird because they were playing. They were down so much they were throwing the shit out of the ball. Like, and he only got 1 reception out of all that stuff. Like, Waddle and Tyreek Hill tore it up. But you would think with them being down like that he would have got a little more usage in the passing game. 3 targets, only 1 catch, though. So, I don't know. Chase Edmonds through 2 games, I'm going to need to see a lot more from him in that situation to get a lot better. Hopefully soon. Okay, here's one that we need to talk about. Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny has been a complete and utter bust. He scored 8 point fantasy points in week 1. He scored 1.5 fantasy points in week 2. So I don't know if Kenneth Walker is just gonna walk and take that job from him or what. I had Rashad Penny on some teams. I got off of him really early because I did have a lot of concerns just about their offense in general, how well they would run the ball. On top of them drafting Walker like they did and kind of what that situation was going to be. But he has looked pretty rough through 2 games. Um, Again, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. The 49ers have an insanely good defense, especially on their D line. But damn, 6 for 15 yards is pretty rough. I'm not sure Penny's going to have any upside for this season. Still early. Their schedule opens up a little bit. They've got Atlanta and Detroit in the next couple of weeks, so we'll see if they can get back on track and see just what the usage is going to be. Are they going to start involving Walker even more? Are they just wanting him to take the job, or will Penny continue to fight for usage at the running back position for Seattle? Time will tell. I guess we'll find out a lot more over the next couple of weeks. Definitely a frustrating situation there. I do think Brees Hall is getting closer and closer. He had 7 rushing attempts, 50 yards, 1 reception for 10 yards and a touchdown. Um, so I think Brees Hall is still making himself worthy enough to be like a flex play ish. But I do feel like if he gets the usage, man, that he's going to do pretty decent in their offense, especially if they can keep throwing the ball as well as they did on Sunday. Another guy we can talk about that was drafted early. He's had a couple of okay games, but nothing spectacular yet. Is Scary Terry McLaurin. He did have 8 targets, 4 for 75. I think it's just a matter of time. Maybe he gets it going a little more. 12 targets through 2 games. Not incredibly bad, but yeah. Yeah, exactly, Hulk. All right. Another guy, too, that you can kind of talk about, too, is DK. Is DK Metcalf. I feel like the only thing that needs to happen for DK is that his usage just needs to increase. Like I think DK will get you the numbers or get you decent numbers. They need to sling the ball more. He's had 13 targets through 2 games. It's not the worst thing ever, but his yards per catch and all that stuff just looks funny. 7 for 36, 4 for 35. So we're gonna have to see over the next couple of weeks. Their schedule does open up a little bit for some more favorable matchups. We'll see if DK and Seattle make some adjustments to kind of get back on track to see kind of what he's going to do for the season. Let's see here. Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen was one that I think a lot of people were expecting more than what he's done through the first 2 weeks as well. 6.6 fantasy points and 9.2 fantasy points through 2 weeks. Um, he hasn't eclipsed 52 yards in either game, no touchdowns. And I'm gonna tell you, like, all of his catches came like in garbage time yesterday, and 2 or 3 of them like should have been picked off. Like the ball barely made it into his hands. They were great catches by him, by the way. But just hasn't put anything down. Like I think people were expecting a little more production out of Thielen at this point. Um, we'll see though. First 2 weeks look kind of rough. Hulk says he thinks Thielen is slowing down. Yeah, I would say the Vikings play calling was very atrocious yesterday. It was nice to see Amari Cooper get going again. 10 targets, 9 receptions, 101, and a tutty. Well, the thing that's confused, the thing that has to happen too is that Thielen has to be targeted in the red zone. I mean, that's just dumb. Like you got to get that guy opportunities in the red zone. So that's what I would like to see. Irv Smith did look pretty good yesterday, no doubt. He was kind of one of the only highlight of their offense was seeing him get kind of get going. It was like, wow, okay. Just the Tennessee Titans offense in general is really frustrating watching. Um, Kind of want to see Chris Olave. His targets were amazing this week. He had 13 targets, 5 receptions for 80 yards. I think Olave is one that's going to just keep improving as the season goes along. I expect him to have some pretty good games. Sky Moore, guys. There were a lot of people that were super high on Sky Moore. What are our thoughts on Sky Moore? On Sky Moore, 0 targets. He's had 1 target through 2 games. 1 target. Mahomes seems like he's just fine and dandy with slinging that ball around to the right person in the offense. Oh yeah, Drake London is making strides. Most definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think my advice at this point would be obviously to hang on to Sky Moore. Um, you know, but I'm thinking the only thing that's going to help that situation are injuries. So there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense, man. You have Juju, you have Kelsey, you have Miko Hardman, you have Valdez Scantling. You have Watson. You have Sky Moore. I mean, the list goes on. You have the other tight end. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. You know, then you've got McKinnon who catches the ball. Clyde Edwards-Helaire who catches the ball. So a lot of mouths to feed there. How about the Paris Campbell love? 2 targets, 0 production. In a week where Michael Pittman doesn't play. How about a slap in the face for that one? He burnt my ass. I started him in one league. I had him on one of my teams on the bench. My team was very injury riddled. So it was one of those spot start situations for me, and he just shit the bed on me. Donovan Peoples Jones, the same thing. A big fat 0. So I'm telling you, man, don't waste a lot of money, which I didn't, but don't spend a lot of money on some of these players that, just let's call it what it is. Don't overreact. Don't go spending a ton of your budget on certain players, especially at wide receiver, because the target usage changes so much with some of these damn teams. Like, it's super frustrating. It drives me nuts. All right, what are we thinking about the Tony Pollard situation? Looked pretty good for Tony Pollard, peeps. He was on my bench, unfortunately, with 19.8 fantasy points this week. Yes, Aaron, I've got some Trey Lance teams I need to replace as well, buddy. Yeah, it really sucks, man. The thing that sucks too, like, I don't know where it goes from here for Lance either, man. Like, if Jimmy plays well, I don't know. I really don't know what happens. Does he automatically just get the nod for next season again? Do they go trying to figure out the quarterback? Are they reopening the quarterback situation to where they're going to be looking again? I don't know. Again, I'll say this: there wasn't enough. He didn't play enough for me to make like some huge assessment, like, oh, he's a bust, or oh, he's the next big thing. So I don't know, man. I can't really disagree. Can't really disagree with that, Hulk. I wish they would give Pollard more and more opportunities. I really do. Yeah, see, I don't know if that's true though, Aaron, because Jimmy's getting older, and one of the things with Jimmy that's been so frustrating is he gets injured a lot. So I'm not sure if that's his team or not. You know, this is the end of his contract. We'll see. I mean, do they try to go after another veteran quarterback in free agency? Um, do they try to draft another quarterback? Do they come to some agreement with Jimmy? I just feel like if they do go, I feel like if they do go deep in the playoffs, Aaron, that the 49ers aren't going to be willing to pay him what his demand will be. So I don't know. That's a weird. That whole situation with Jimmy is very weird. That whole QB situation there. It's very funny. All right, y'all. Anybody else that we want to hit on, that we want to discuss, you guys? Anything else? Yeah, I mean it's. Listen, I never knew. It was hard to tell. It's kind of like me and Big Smart were talking about this. It's one of those things, man. I don't have. I can't really make an honest assessment on what Trey is. This could totally just derail everything for him. Agreed. I I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know where the 49ers go from here. They can't just keep wasting time and messing around at the quarterback position. That much I know. Hulk Smash said, "Who's stopping the Bills?" I'll say it like this, Hulk. The only people that can stop the Bills are the same people that stopped them for the last 50 years, and that's themselves. The only thing that can get in the way of the Buffalo Bills are themselves, and they've done a very good job of getting in their own way for as long as I can remember, going back to last season. So I'm definitely not interested in the teams who are super hot right now because a lot of these teams are going to flare off and things kind of balance out. You definitely want to look at the teams who are running hot towards the end of the year, going into the playoffs, and are looking to make those deep runs. But yeah, Buffalo's got a lot of talent, man. And Josh Allen looks incredible. I mean, Josh Allen looks, I mean, he just gets it. He totally gets it. Nah, they lost because they couldn't stop anybody on defense. So they had an opportunity to win. Stop the Chiefs. Easier said than done, but I'm just saying they could have won the game. There was 60 minutes that they had to beat the Chiefs before overtime. That's the way I look at it, and they didn't do it. So we can make it. We can make excuses for everybody. I mean, you got to admit, Buffalo gets in their own way. I think they'll have their weeks where they struggle too, and we'll be like, "What the hell? Like, what was going on with that team?" But as of right now, they look like a well-oiled machine. I'll tell you that. Yeah, but you're asking about the Bills. You said they lost because of a coin toss. They didn't lose because of a coin toss. They could have stopped Kansas City and had an opportunity. I'm just not a believer in all that. Oh, they lost because that's just making excuses for them. Oh, I agree. I can't stand the coin toss rule, and they changed it anyways. But still, I mean, it is kind of dumb. But still, the Bills were good enough. They had plenty of playmakers enough to where they could have and should have won that game. And that's all I'm just pointing that out to make the statement of Buffalo is very good about getting in their own way. But man, they look really good. If Josh Allen continues to play like that, I mean, hell, it's going to be a they're going to be a tough out, and if they get home field advantage, especially, man, whew, good luck going to Buffalo in January. Holy shit! All right, does anyone else have any questions? Last opportunity here. We're gonna go last call on the open mic, guys and gals. Does anyone else have any questions? Any start sit coming up this week you guys want to talk about? Um, Yeah, there's not a whole lot on the waiver wire. We kind of hit on that early on in the show too. Just not a lot out there. You have an opportunity to get Darrell Williams. I mean, I definitely would try to get him. How are my fantasy football teams doing? They're doing pretty decent. I would say, what's up, Tommy Gunn? Any Gabe Davis news? I haven't seen anything, Tommy Gunn. My teams are doing decent, Hulk. They really are. I've got some teams. I've got some teams that I wish. Some teams I look at to this day after all the games ended last night, man, and I'm like, damn, I still really like the team, but they haven't scored. Like they haven't scored many points, and they're like 0-2. So I'm still holding on some hope for some of those teams. Maybe I shouldn't, but yeah, some teams I still look at. I'm amazed like that they're 0-2 and that they're doing so poorly. To be honest with you, but I would say right now I'm kind of like 50-50, Hulk. 50% of my teams are doing really well. The other 50% aren't doing that great. I'm kind of in the middle right now. Hey AC, I hear you, man. I absolutely hear you, buddy. Listen, I'll say one thing I will say is that I don't know if it's going to continue like that or what the situation is. I will say this though, the damn I did like the Jimmy G looking downfield shit the other day. Now, if Shanahan lets him do that, man, I'm all for it. Like, let him throw the ball down the field some. Like, come on. I think Jimmy could definitely pay off in a bunch of ways if that's allowed. But if Shanahan does this 10-yard bubble offense, then it's going to be the same crap, man. Yeah, Hulk, I kind of feel that's where everybody is around the 50-50. Oh, I'm not throwing the towel in at all, Aaron. I'm just kind of like lost in my thoughts on some teams. I'm like, what the hell, You look at some teams and you're like, man, like this team was gonna be like should be killing folks right now. And then you look at other teams and you're scratching your head and you're like, damn, how the hell is this team in first place? Yeah, Kittle being healthy is definitely gonna help. Um, I'd imagine Kittle's probably gonna be back this week, next week at the latest. I'd much rather him be hurt right now than towards the end of the season. So hopefully Kittle stay. He gets this on out the way early and he's healthy the rest of the year. But yeah, they definitely need him for blocking. They also need him for receiving as well. So AC, how are your teams doing overall? Yeah, it's just how he plays, Hulk. He just balls to the walls, man, and unfortunately he gets banged up. But like I said, I'd rather him be dealing with this crap now that he's dealing with versus the alternative, Great week one, so week two. Yeah, I think I had a better week. I had a better week two than I did week one. It was close though. I mean, it wasn't by like a landslide, but I still think I've got the right mix of play. There was a couple I made some bad start sits on too. Like I had Amari benched on one of my teams. That really sucked. I had Pollard on a few of my benches, and so the first couple of weeks are kind of tough, man. They're kind of tough working the kinks out and kind of having to figure out like, okay, I can't trust this guy. So kind of like banging your head on the wall, so to speak, you know. All right, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up here for Open Night Overreaction segment number 2. This is episode number 9, the Fantasy Cure, brought to you by Real Time Fantasy Sports and the Draft Hero. I will try to get back in the Discord somehow. I'm not sure why the link's not working. Aaron, did you try to drop that link again? Maybe this chat's just not allowing links or something. I don't know why it wouldn't, but hey, thanks Smash for being in here. Thanks Aaron. Thank you guys. Thanks Smirk. Well, that link worked. I don't know. All right, guys, I'll hit you up on Discord too. You guys can always talk to me in the Cure channel on the Real Time Fantasy Sports when I'm not banned. Good luck to all of you on the waiver wires. I'll try to talk up some start sit info too, as far as in the Discord, and we can chat it up some more, y'all. Looking forward to next week, to week number 3's Overreaction Tuesday segment once again. I'm your host Gatsby. Y'all have a great week, and side chat on Discord. You can still go there. Yeah, Aaron, try to do that, man. Because I tried to send Chris a message, and it wouldn't even let me send a message. So I'm hoping that it even lets you. Let me see if I can even type to you. Yeah, like it won't even let me type to you, Aaron. But yeah, we can give that a try. All right, you guys. Thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Good luck to you this week in your fantasy football, unless you're playing me. Hope you all have a great week. Let's go crush it. Make sure to get those waivers in by tomorrow night. That's when the waivers do process. Hey, y'all stay classy. Have a great rest of your week. Good luck, everybody, and we'll see you back next Tuesday. Good night, folks.
Every time, even with a head start. Niggas think they making hits, they ain't in the ballpark. They be trying to make it on, but they really fall hard. You ain't even in my zone, how you think that you a star? There's a real fine line between the confidence and cockiness. I promise that the difference lies how often they be talking it. Fuck around and do it, niggas swear that I be walking it. And they don't want no problems, but they acting like they starting it. They living the facade, always wanting what I got. Morgan Freeman, how they acting, always wanna play a part. I don't know if I'm a sign, like the treaty of Versailles. At this point I've been at war with all these niggas. I say, yo, bitch, a party, call a fiesta. She wanna skirt off in back of the Tesla. Way too fast, I've been missing every rest stop. If we got a problem, send the niggas at your head top. We ain't in the same range, we ain't in the same gang. Little nigga Paul Pierce tryna step to MJ. I ain't finna say no name, better stay up in your lane. I've been sunning all these niggas, they don't wanna hear replay.
Yo, won't stop shooting till the whole thing's empty. Better take this L like MP or Zeki. Swinging my blade, don't tempt me. Farm blocks, late night, no entry. Sentry, Pookies, all in a rescue. Yo, man gets sort like Jezzy. 5 a.m. getting it for murder. No further, he got John, no wellies. Lonely got John, no wellies. No one to earn, so we can't see clear. Foot on the collection to get. Wine on the window, they all disappear. The neighbours like, what happened here? Donny got shaved, but he still got hair. Big drip, little drip got tear. Got me with Lurky, we had big man scared.
Shotgun man, slap man, boot it. Tune man down, now his Canada's ruined. Don't think we can sleep on the voyage. We came right back and it done 2 bootings. Chilling the same spot, what are you doing? They just don't learn like stupid students. Spot any ops, don't think, just do it. 100% bro, he's gonna shoot it. Hop Hop at the ride, he's dashing, catch him, beaming up and then vanish. Free Boogie B, well known savage. Pull up on them and of course they panic. Next day, me and Nabs went on alert. Didn't see nothing, just one little stranglers. This beef is frying, don't get caught lacking. Yo, too late, oh damn, he's
I
capping.
see bros, he watching, catch him, mopping. Hopped at the ride and chopped him. They get back, strapped him. Everyone's flossing, gassed up, OT bopping. Machine gun shopping, shotgun locking. 2 hands bow and popping. My auntie still ask if I'm fine. A lot's on my mind, but the money ain't stopping.
Due to get long when corn starts flying. Bucket the A, don't expect kindness. Riding, I find it exciting. Knife it, somebody's dying. Pipe it, babe, stop piping. Cause it come down if I ride, he's riding. Bad beat, come to the nist for a piping. Leave it, a little bro, swipe it.
Without, that's my big pal. He's on violence, he don't make no sound. Spin the whip, give a fuck by the crowd. If you chill with the odds, you ain't making me proud. Bro, what's wrong with this child? He got his time to still runs his mouth. Cause he comes to the end, if broski's riding, then I'm riding, no doubt. I got hella length things from south, just brought their back and open mouth. Blue band, I don't chase no clout, I just hit the up, he smoke it and I'm out. But broski got knit like how, just wish him the best when they take it to chow. But broski got knit like how, just wish him the best when they take it to chow. I see broski watching, catching, mopping, hopped out the ride and chopped him. They get back, strapped him, everyone's flossing, gassed up, OT bopping. Machine gun shopping, shotgun locking, 2 hands bow and popping. My auntie still ask if I'm fine, a lot's on my mind, but the money ain't stopping.
Due to get long when corn starts flying. Bucket the A, don't expect kindness. Riding, I find it exciting. Knife it, somebody's dying. Pipe it, babe, stop piping. Cause it come down if I ride, he's riding. Bad beat, come to the nist for a piping. Leave it, a little bro, swipe it. Ride and tap it, this shit's fantastic. Hey broski, pass me the dot. Watchman hops, got trip, get cabbage. Off me, we got shotties and daggers. Hammers, pull up and ops in it, dashing. Head to the blocker, just on the mad team, side team. Run up a youth, no manners. Still too specific, forget what happened. Angle arms, I swing it. Dip it, rip it, twist it, kill it. Everyone's bad till bro starts chinging. Gunshot, holy, you in existence. We caught one, he left his misses. Pull up on my block, his scripts we're flipping. 3 doors, pop shotgun, get lifted. If you caught him, you would see him on
I see
pictures.
broski watching, catching, mopping. Hopped out the ride and chopped him. They get back, strapped him. Everyone's flossing, gassed up, OT bopping. Machine gun shopping, shotgun locking. 2 hands bow and popping. My auntie still ask if I'm fine. A lot's on my mind, but the money ain't stopping.
Due to get long when corn starts flying. Bucket the A, don't expect kindness. Riding, I find it exciting. Knife it, somebody's dying. Pipe it, babe, stop piping. Cause it come down if I ride, he's riding. Bad beat, come to the nist for a piping. Leave it, a little bro, swipe.
Yeah, best believe if we got smoke, you know what's up. Nowadays my niggas pushing Balenciaga, yeah, the truck. If you boys really want drama, I'ma tell they ass pull up. I don't fuck with many niggas, so I keep the hammer tucked. I just really want the bucks. I don't need to say too much. My gun's a thotty, it's a slut, yeah, slut. Cause it's gon' blow you till it's dust, yeah, dust. I just really want the